I come representing the transition movement in Spain, and also ECOLIS, which is this meta-network of organizations that work at the European level, not just on climate change, but in general on how to increase the resilience and sustainability of our lifestyles, and also in supporting others in doing the same. So the question that drives us really is the great challenges of our age. In our case, from the transition perspective, we understand that in the face of climate change, in the face of the disintegration of many of the structures that have allowed us to live with relative comfort up until today, in the face of the crisis that we have in front of us at many levels, so not just socially or economically, but also environmentally, also in the face of the crisis of values, of how we relate to one another as human beings, we have to do something. So, many of you may be familiar with this diagram that shows the limits of our planet, and many of them that we have already gone into overshoot. So one of them, for example, is of course climate change, that you're all aware of, but also in terms of how much biodiversity is being lost and how our existence as human beings depends on maintaining and regenerating the ecosystems that sustain us. So we are aware of this to a greater or lesser extent. We know this is happening. We see it. We see it when we turn on TV. We see it on social media. We see it when we talk with other people and we dare to ask, what are your fears for the world? It's everywhere around us. And the reason why I am here today, and I hope you're here today too, is because you want to do something about this. And maybe you don't know what or where to start, but that's okay, because we're going to give you some suggestions. So, as I said, I'm here representing ECOLIS, which is a transnational meta-network of organizations, not just from the grassroots, but we all have the same objective. We really want to make a change. We really want to get together and foster collaboration between different organizations to increase our impact. So at the moment, the membership is up to 43 organizations in more than 18 countries. And the role of ECOLIS is really to support the work that is being done on the ground, connect the different organizations among themselves, because of course, as was said at the start of the event, creating partnerships, building spaces for collaboration is very important. It's crucial if we really want to get organized to give a better response to the challenges we're facing. And we also want to make this work visible. Not just for ourselves, because of course the work we do, sometimes it's difficult and it helps us to know that others acknowledge what we're doing, but also just for the general people, for the general public. I have heard so many times people say, but you know, there's no hope. What can we do? The world is what it is, and especially young people, they say, I just don't care, because there's nothing I can do, there's nothing happening around me. I live in this city, I live in this town, and I just don't know where to start. So for me, one of the key things of this work that I'm involved in is saying, hey, actually, look, there's all this already going on that you can participate in, and if nothing suits you, it's okay, because I can help you, or you can find someone who can help you set up something that really speaks to you and that really motivates you and inspires you. Okay, well, the technology isn't helping today, it's okay. So, one of the things that ECOLIS is really investing in is organizing this event. So, imagine for one day or around one day, the communities, the projects all over Europe that are working in this line of work towards sustainability, resilience, etc., we get together and we do something at the same time. If you don't believe me, what's happening, you may have seen that we have some copies of this booklet where we have some examples. I really invite you to take a look at it because it's an awesome publication. Thank you, Iva, for putting it together. And here what we really try to do is just give more volume to all these things that are happening, to really create this platform where people can show up and showcase their work and show that really it is truly possible to reinvent Europe, to reinvent the way our future can look like. That it doesn't have to look like anything we have been told before. It doesn't have to look like what the movies say, it doesn't have to look like what our parents said, or what politicians said. It doesn't matter, all of these things that were said. We can get together and think and imagine something different and make it happen. Yeah. So, in this booklet that Ecolis has edited, you can already start reading some of the examples that can be found all over Europe. Just some of them in Spain or Portugal, France, in Belgium. There are so many in Belgium, and Lucia will tell us more about something happening here in Brussels. And we can also find some more information in the Ecolis status report that has been an ongoing work for the past year, where we really try to show evidence that not only does this work exist, we know it does, but what impact does it have? Can we really put our trust and our hope in this kind of work? Does it really change things around it? And if so, how can we measure them? How can we see it? So this work will be edited very soon, I think at the end of September. So if you want to check it out, please go into the Ecolis website. Okay. Great. So today we're meeting here, and the title of the event is Bringing Together Community-Led Initiatives with Municipalities. Why this title? Where does this come from? In our experience in the transition movement, we received information constantly from the grassroots initiatives saying, you know, we are doing amazing work, we really believe in this, we're working with great people, but one of the worst nightmares is trying to get the municipality to work with us, or at least to not be a problem, to at least let us do what we want to do. Of course, this was a problem. At the same time, we started talking with people from different municipalities who wanted to do this work, who were really committed to fighting against climate change, to including diversity, to really making a move towards sustainability. And they said, you know, one of our greatest challenges is actually sitting down with initiatives and collaborating and really thinking about these things together. So it's for this reason that we decided, okay, so then the problem is the solution. Let's bring together the municipalities and the grassroots initiatives and see what we can do together. Because as was mentioned before, working at the municipal level, it's not just out of a whim. It's not something that we think it would be nice. It's something that's essential because it's where the work gets done. It's a scale where we can really have a big impact, but we can actually see the impact. It's not so big that's unmanageable, but it's big enough so that we can actually meet the people, talk with them, touch them, and actually share the hope for the future. So the Municipalities in Transition project is one such example of this kind of initiative, where we are trying to, through the experience of municipalities all over the world, not just in Europe, you can see the points in the map. Through their experience, we have tried to design a platform and a framework that allows this kind of interaction to happen. This kind of place where we meet as equals, each of us bringing our stories, our fears, our needs, and our skills, and we put them together to identify where are the most important leverage points in our locality, in the place where we live, with the people that we know, to arrive to some sort of positive change. I will not go into the details because some of the pilots of the project are here, But just so you know, we are currently working with 6 pilots in 5 countries, in Italy, Spain, Portugal, Hungary, and Brazil. And Spain. Did I say Spain? Yes, of course, Spain. Very important. So, what makes this approach different from other frameworks? Because, of course, there are many recipes out there of how to get to sustainability. How do you become sustainable? There are many recipes out there. What we wanted to do differently was that we said we didn't want a recipe. What we knew was that we wanted a framework that allowed us to work on relationships, on creating relationships based on trust, where people can really arrive with whatever it is that worries them, with whatever knowledge of the field they have, and put it at the surface of the entire process of what's going on here. Okay, this is what's happening. Who do we need to talk to? Who should be in this conversation that normally gets excluded? And how do we include them? Okay, now we have the right people. Let's try to have the right conversation. So for that, we have created a set of tools inside the framework that ultimately their goal is to get people talking, get people sharing, get people co-designing, so not just depending on external people or experts to tell them what they have to do, actually inviting people to take responsibility for what happens, and then connecting them. Can we go to the next one? Connecting them. So for that reason, and this is one of the things that gets me the most excited whenever I think about this project, is we have created an international community of practice. Because this work is enormous. What we are trying to achieve is something that no other generation has ever attempted in the history of humanity, really. And sometimes it can feel quite lonely. So for us, one of the main things we wanted to do was create the sense that we are not alone in this work. And not just the feeling of not being alone, but actually the spaces where we can connect to our peers, connect to other people who are doing this, so we can inspire one another, where we can share the challenges that we are facing and try to support one another in the best way we can. Because we do not have the answers, and that's okay. We are only trying our best, and we are doing it together. And for us, that's really all that matters here. And I will pass on now to some of the people who are going to explain to you the really juicy things of how does this happen on the ground. Thank you.